We talk a lot about life on this show, the good and the bad. Our next two guests talk a lot about life too, but in a minimalist way. In fact, their book, Live a Meaningful Life, is an Amazon #1 bestseller. Please welcome Joshua Fields Wilburn and Ryan Nicodemus to the show.
Thanks.
I did it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, let's laser something. You all had a lot of money. You were living in the corporate world. You were riding high. One day, you've been friends since you were in childhood.
Yeah, since
all
the
your
fifth grade.
lives. You looked at each other and said, what are we doing? Let's get rid of this and go get rid of the stress and go live a simple life. Is that right?
Yeah, I was really successful by society standards, but I was only ostensibly successful. I didn't feel successful, and I had all this weight, this burden, all these things that were around me that were supposed to make me happy.
But they weren't cutting it.
No, I was doing the opposite. Instead of happiness, I had a lot of debt, like massive, crippling debt, a lot of stress, discontent. And I got to a point in my life where I was depressed, and I looked around and said, well, this stuff was supposed to make me happy, but it's not.
And what
Same
about
with
you?
Yeah, it's interesting. If you were to tell me at age 18 what I was going to have at age 28, I mean, I would have been the most excited 18-year-old. Like, I can't wait to be that old and own all that stuff. But, you know, it got to a point where I had all of these things, and, you know, I bought all these things, accumulated all this stuff to make me happy, and it wasn't doing its job. So that's really where we started, you know, thinking a little bit differently.
So when did the shift occur? Because something happened, and it's interesting that it happened in both of your lives.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we've known each other since we were fat little fifth graders. So we've been great friends for a while. We worked together in the corporate world. It kind of happened for me in late 2009. My mother died, and my marriage ended in the same month.
Okay.
And
So you realized what was really important.
well, yeah, and it really, I was like, well, what is important? I got to a point in my life where I thought all this stuff, this job, and all these things were important, but all of a sudden, I realized I had forsook my most important things, my relationships, my health. I weighed 70 pounds more than I weigh now, and all of these things that were actually important, I wasn't focused on. And so once that happened, I just started questioning a lot of stuff in my life and realized that the actual stuff, the material things, weren't adding value to my life.
Got it. What about you?
So, you know, it's funny, I saw this shift in Josh where he went from this big ball of stress, you know, always anxious, always, you know, kind of running around like a chicken with his head cut off. And I noticed this shift in him where he was more relaxed, and I kind of asked him, you know, what's going on? And he said, you know, I'm kind of looking into this minimalist thing. Maybe you should check it out because you've got a lot of crap. And
That's a good friend.
yeah, and he was absolutely right. I did. So just to make a long story short, we did this thing called a packing party. So what I did is I packed up my 2,200 square foot condo like I was moving. My sheets, my toiletries, my suits, my shoes, everything I packed up and unpacked day by day as I needed it, just to kind of figure out what it was that I used, that I had in my life. And you know, after 3 weeks, I had about 80% of the stuff left in boxes. And that was my revelation moment. Like, you know, here again was all this stuff that I had accumulated to make me happy, and I haven't even touched it in 3 weeks. So that was the precipice of the website, really.
All right, were there other things besides the material things in your search for something more?
Yeah.
Was there a spiritual awakening? Was there, what, anything like that?
You know, for me, relationships was a big one. I realized I needed to really reprioritize my relationships because I was spending the most time with people out of convenience, people that were close to me in proximity but weren't really close to me, you know, because they were really positive relationships. So I spent a ton of time with coworkers or networking buddies and things like that, whereas I didn't dedicate as much time to the people who were really closest to me, the really close friends and family that I should have, and so I had to reprioritize my relationship.
I have to ask you something.
Yeah.
In the shift now to minimalist, tell me what technical stuff you got rid of and no longer use.
Oh, for me, I'll tell you what I had, because you know, growing up, I grew up poor. I always had a video game system behind, so I made sure to like get 2 of everything, you know, when I had the money to do so.
Right.
So I basically pared down. You know, I had 5 or 6 phones that I was holding on to, a couple laptops,
So did
a couple
you
GPS
start-
systems. Yeah, just started selling stuff, giving stuff away, and
So
you know.
what do you use now?
You know, I still have technology devices, you know, technological
It's
devices in my life.
necessary,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean, we run a website, right? So we've got to
Wait a
get
minute.
online somehow.
But you're in Montana now.
We are, yeah.
And tell me what kind of results you've had from the book.
Oh, it's been great. You know, I kind of think it was a really beautiful accident. Didn't really expect all of this to happen. We just started the Minimalist.com and started documenting our journey. And a lot of people said, "Hey, you should really write a book about minimalism."
I just love this.
Now, let me ask you this: how has it changed your lives? Like, you've got to be different men now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, number one thing is I'm much happier. You know, I make less money now than what I did when I was 22 years old. But I haven't traveled this much in the first 29 years of my life than I have in the last 2 years. So for me, it's
you're
definitely
happier.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
about you, Josh?
Yeah, without a doubt, happiness is a big thing, but I'm able to focus too. My focus has changed a lot. I'm a lot healthier, my relationships are stronger, and I'm finally pursuing something that I'm passionate about.
That's
Now,
it.
You're going to be at Half Price Books today.
We were there last night, actually.
Okay, so are you any more signings today?
No.
Shoot.
Just missed
You
it.
brought us books, right?
Yes,
That's right.
yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
And listen, you all can pick up a copy of the Minimalist book wherever you buy your books. And you can learn more about these guys by going onto their website, theminimalist.com.